I don't know. Probably the only one here. Oh, like. This is it.
How's everyone? Good? Everyone doing good? Good to see you. Links are working. There. All right, sweet. Oh. Share. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? All right, so PowerPoint from last week is up on Blackboard. This week's is up there as well. I believe we were supposed to be having some quizzes that I kind of forgot about, to be honest. Trying to still get used to the hybrid thing, especially for a class like this. So there's going to be some retroactive quizzes coming shortly. They'll be easy, trust me. It's mandatory. Somebody told me it was. So. All right. questions? Do you have anything? Nothing yet? Okay. Anybody online? Nothing, no questions? Good. Better be kidding. All right. So associations dedicated to strength and conditioning. There's one big one and then one kind of smaller one that we'll look at. At least look at certification. And the reason why I feel that these are the most important ones are because it is the only two certifications that you are allowed to have to train collegiate athletes. You have to have one of the two certifications that we'll talk about today to train collegiate athletes. If you don't have them, you can work under somebody, but you can't actually be a strength coach. You can't be hired as a strength coach. So, the National Strength Conditioning Association, they are kind of the tippy top premier strength conditioning association. So their mission advances the profession by supporting strength and conditioning professionals, devoted to helping others discover and maximize their strengths. This could be either personal training or it could be in athletics. So working to improve and discover the maximize the strengths of athletes as a team or possibly individual sports. We also have a fantastic line of research and journaling as well. So they disseminate or get out the information, the new information from people who do some studies. The studies are peer reviewed and then are published into the journal. And looking at that, they are really big on the practical application of that new information. Sometimes in research, there's a disconnect there between, all right, you have some data, you have some information, so what? What does it actually mean? How can you actually use it and apply it to the field? Because if you can't really apply it, then what's the point? Now maybe there's some other way that you can apply it down the road, years from now, potentially, but it's not applicable, at least at the moment, to anything that anybody knows. So that's what they're real big on. In fact, there's been a lot of publications that I know, a lot of papers that I know of that were really good, really well done, great methodology, and even statistical significance. But there really wasn't any practical use to it, and they were rejected for publication because of that. So, but they got picked up by some other journal, so that kind of gives you some insight to publishing. Anyway, so offering industry-leading certifications. This is a big one. They offer two big certifications: personal training and strength conditioning. They also have the research journals, career development services. They'll post job offerings. A lot of the associations, organizations will post job offerings, even contact numbers for professionals in case you want to do some internships with them or job shadowing or just ask them a few questions. And continuing education opportunities. So any type of seminars, conferences, regional conferences. And in fact, those continuing education opportunities are important for the certifications. In any or in most fields, in certifications or licensure, there's going to be continuing education units that are, I'll just write it up here. There we go. CEUs. Those are continuing education units, and that's what the NSCA uses for their continuing education requirements. I believe ACSM uses them as well, and other organizations. Sometimes they're just known as CEs. But once you get a certification, you can't just say, okay, I have the certification, I'm good to go. You have to, every year, get a certain amount of continuing education units to maintain that certification. If you don't, you have to retake the examination. So there's obviously a cost associated with that. Some of the CEUs that are necessary, or that are available and that are necessary, some of them are necessary. Webinars, so some online stuff, just a webinar. Sometimes they are seminars, you actually go in person. I don't know how often that's going on right now, but hopefully sometime. Any type of publications that you have, attending conferences, attending certain speeches can count for those. And sometimes you can double dip. If you are in one, if you have a certification maybe with NSCA, if you attend another conference, it doesn't have to be NSCA, it could be ACSM, it could be maybe, there's another one, experimental biology, which is real big in the field. Attend their conference, usually it's, a lot of times it's in San Diego. Yeah! Woo! Nice. That is the nicest weather I've ever been to, San Diego. That is, it's like, it's cool, but warm. That makes sense if you've ever been there. Anyway. I don't know where I was going with that, but we'll continue. All right, so these certifications to get CSCS. If you want to be a strength coach, this is probably the certification that you want to achieve, want to take, want to study for. So professionals who apply scientific knowledge to train athletes for the primary goal of improving athletic performance. The other part of that is trying to decrease the risk for injuries. That's usually the primary goal for any personal trainer or strength conditioning coach, athletic trainer. But performance obviously stands out to most people. Also conduct sport-specific testing sessions. So you're testing athletes, testing individuals, maybe testing the teams as a whole. Designing, implementing safe and effective training, strength training, and conditioning programs. So again, there's two parts to that. It's just not the strength aspect, but it's also the conditioning part, the aerobic, the agility, speed. And then also to have at least some background in nutrition, to help provide some guidance for nutritional practices. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a certification or be a full-fledged dietitian, but it definitely helps to have at least some background in some of the basic nutritional properties of maybe some foods and what some nutrients are important for certain people. And the big one is hydration. Being able to calculate how much water somebody's going to be losing during a certain activity, maybe based upon their body weight, and how hot it is outside, how long they're exercising, and then trying to calculate how much fluids they need to replenish their body. But also part of that is the electrolytes portion to that. That's more detailed than I wanted to go over. And again, they're the injury prevention. CSCS is right now, all you have to have is a 4-year undergraduate degree from a accredited institution, and we are accredited here. It's definitely nice that you are in a field that is related to this, so that's good. But you don't have to be honest. There have been people that have had just regular science degrees. I think some have even had like English degrees that have gotten it. They are changing that, however. I believe, oh boy, by 2025, you are going to have a degree in exercise science, nutrition, exercise physiology, kinesiology, something to deal with nutrition or exercise. So at some point they are going to be changing that. But you still have to have a 4-year degree. You can sit for this examination as a senior, but even if you pass it, they will not hand you the certification certificate until you send them your transcripts to show them that you actually passed all your classes and you're now a graduate. So, but once you pass it, you're good to go as long as you keep up with the CEUs. Any questions on this? May strength coach people potentially in here, maybe online. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. Sweet, sweet. Other certification that they have, the certified personal trainers of the CPT. So the differences between them are, I mean, really it's the strength coach is training a team. The personal trainer is really training the individual. And that individual can be really anybody. It doesn't have to be an athlete. It can be somebody who's young, somebody who's old, somebody who is maybe has some type of condition, just wanting to improve their fitness levels. So health and fitness professionals who, using an individualized approach, assess, motivate, educate, train the clients regarding personal health and also any fitness needs that they have. And also design and implement safe and effective exercise programs, guidance for personal health, lifestyle choices, fitness goals that they have, and then responding appropriately to any emergency situations. In addition to either the personal training certificate, certification, or the CSCS, you're probably going to have CPR, first aid, AED certified. So, in fact, I believe that is one of the requirements for the CSCS. For you to sit for it, you have to be CPR, first aid, AED certified, and it has to be up to date. And the same thing applies here with the CPT, is you need continuing education units to maintain that certification. If you are interested in maybe military type of setting, tactical responses, stuff like that, they also have another certification that is tactical strength and conditioning. In fact, they even have their own conference now. I believe I think it's always in California. I think Sacramento, I think they always have it there for some reason. I don't know why. But tactical strength and conditioning, they even have their own textbook for that certification. This certification has its own textbook, and the CSCS basically has its own certification, own textbook for the certification as well. So, anyway, questions? I can get you in touch or get you links to those if you like more information. Oh, there it was right there. Got a slide on. My bad. So the tactical strength conditioning facilitators are the TSAC-F. So any military, firefighters, rescue teams, law enforcement, protective services, any other emergency personnel. So that's who you would be training. Now, you don't have to necessarily have been a part of any of these, but it might help. So, trying to improve performance, promote wellness, decrease risk for injury for all of these individuals. So it's really looking at the personal training, strength and conditioning for these specific fields in the tactical area. So conducted needs analysis and physical fitness testing as well for these individuals. And designing and implementing conditioning programs and general information regarding nutritional practices. Especially once you get into, well, military can be kind of its own thing. There's some supplements there that sometimes they take, caffeine being one of them because you're going to stay up late sometimes, sleep deprivation. Fire and rescue, that's a big one where hydration status comes into play. In fact, there's a lot of articles on heat and core temperature type stuff and sweating on firefighters. So they're wearing a lot of equipment, a lot of heavy equipment, and they're moving a lot, they're sweating a lot, and they're not able to dissipate the heat. So there's a lot of worry that they may become dehydrated. And that's one area of study. And somebody who is PSAC certified can help at least give some information to those individuals of what they need to do beforehand and also during. All right, the other one, the other certification that is also used for somebody who wants to train athletes, collegiate athletes, Collegiate Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association, CSCCA. I believe I have a link. No, I don't. Not quite yet. There's. So, Strength and Conditioning Coaches Certification. Oh, that's why. I don't know why. And shall keep. Let me get back to this. Bam. Sorry. CSCCA. There we go. So this one here. There is a link in the PowerPoint for this. cscca.org. Excuse me. So going through some of the reasons why it was created, when it was created, similar to the CSCS, but this one is specific to collegiate athletics. So that's why it's one of the certifications, one of the two certifications that you can have to train collegiate athletes. So if you're interested in that, in training collegiate athletes, this is one of the two. And then, MS. So this is a Master's of Strength and Conditioning. This one takes a little bit of time to get. So this is second level certification. So it's the highest honor that somebody could get in strength and conditioning. And you can see the requirements there. They're a full-time collegiate and or professional strength and conditioning coach for a minimum of 12 years. Then they can become eligible. And again, there's some additional criteria that somebody needs. And a lot of times you're going to need letters of recommendation for that, but that'd be later in your career. Basically, that adds another level of certification that you could possibly get at some point. What that translates into is maybe a little bit more prestige in the field, but also a little more money. So, a little negotiating power, if you like it. So, anyway. I did want to go to. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Let's go on. All right, you're gonna work on me. Well, okay, World Wide Web. Let's see you handle this. Okay. They changed it to com. Because org was taken. That's right. NSCA. Here we go. Let's look at memberships real quick. Membership overview. That way we can see what the price is. Student membership is a little pricey for this one, I'll be honest. Seems a little pricey to me. $65 a year. But if you're interested in strict conditioning, this is probably a good one to get. If it's a choice between NSCA and ACSM, you might want to get this one. If you want to go into strength conditioning, if it's just a general health field, or PT or OT, you might want to look into those specific ones, but you don't need to spend like $2,000 at getting memberships to all these organizations that I talk about. So my advice is find one, maybe the cheapest one in your field, and go for it for a year. But member benefits, you get a lot of the benefits that I would get, access to all the journals, to contacts to anybody, attend conferences for discounted prices, regional conferences, webinars, all that stuff. Some discounts that you may get. Okay. Certifications there, whatever that. All right. Whoop, sorry. So what is the difference? Because these are kind of the two big ones in the, I guess, exercise science, exercise phys, kinesiology, whatever name you would want to apply to this field. That is a general human movement, sports medicine type field. The difference is ACSM is more general. The NSCA is one that is more specific to strength conditioning or personal training. ACSM has their own personal training certificate, but most often this one is pretty good. In fact, it's probably, if you want to be real about it, it's probably a little bit higher. The certification examination, from what I heard, is a little bit more difficult. It's a little more stringent. CSCS is the top tier certification in this field for strength conditioning or personal training. So, but both of these organizations jive with one another, because at the national conferences to ACSM, NSCA has their own booth. So you can go and get information about certifications, about the organization. And at the NSCA National Conference, ACSM has their own booth. They know that people are in each other's conference and going to each other's conferences and organization meetings. Why I say this is because I don't know why, but when I was in grad school, there was like this big argument. And I even seen it in a professional setting at my last job, where people were boo-hooing this organization or that one. It's like, what the hell are you doing? They both serve a different purpose. They're boo-hooing about this one. Oh yeah, look, they put out an article where they end up getting sued by CrossFit because there was something in there that an author should not have put in one of the publications, but they did. They redacted it. They said, see, that's why this organization isn't very good. But then CrossFit turned around and also sued ACSM. So it was kind of even after that. So I just want to say that because just in case you ever hear people bickering back and forth about it, because for whatever reason I've seen it, and it drives me up the wall. Both of the organizations are beneficial depending upon what we want to do. And that's that. That's probably what I want to say about that. I know that's kind of an inside personal thing, but I just want to get it out there. Questions? Straight. That's it for the strength stuff. Excuse me. NSCA.com. They end up changing it. I forgot that they changed it. For a while it was org, but then another, there was NSCA-lift.org. And then they changed it to NSCA-lift.com, and I think now it's just NSCA.com. So, anyway. Then you can go to the store. You can buy a whole bunch of stuff. You got gear. See what they got. Hats. Oh, look at that. Man. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for playing along. Anyone has any questions, let me know. What's in the schedule for next week? Is it nutrition? I don't know. Y'all remember anyone have a syllabus with them? I didn't have a syllabus. How dare me not have a syllabus with me? If you have no more questions, thank you. So you guys that are here should be online next week. You guys online will be in here next week. And